Well, it seems the proverbial cat is out of the bag when it comes to rewriting Ripley and who they got their marching orders from, or so it seems. We'll get into that. Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm basically still trying to fan bash toxic fans and blah, 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 blah. You know, what is it going to take for that to stop? What is it going to take for them to stop injuring the people that provide them with their livelihood over at Lucasfilm and Disney? And I thought to myself, it kind of reminds me of a story. Years ago, one of my dogs was injured and I had to take her to the vet. And veterinarian was concerned about her being rabid and injuring us unintentionally. And I said, well, Doc, what do you do in this situation? Doc looked at me and said, well, sometimes you just have to muzzle a bitch. Damn! Good morning. Online. Yep. Yeah, so Rewriting Ripley basically turned out to be a ghost-written piece for Lucasfilm. Let's just call it that, and Kathleen Kennedy. I've said before on here that Disney's most likely scenario is that they are going to allow Kathleen Kennedy's contract to just simply expire. Come October of this year, by all information we have, that is when her contract would naturally be up for renewal. And in order to avoid a lot of nasty stuff in the Hollywood press, the easiest way to let Kathy go, based on her poor performance as a CEO of Lucasfilm, and there's no way around that, is to simply write her a big fat check. Let her ride off into the sunset in retirement. Let her start her own studio. Maybe Disney agrees to distribute whatever movies she makes, whatever. But basically depart on amicable ways. And that way you avoid any backlash, especially if you pay her off and put her under a lifetime non-disclosure agreement or NDA. That's all well and good. Here's a problem. When things like this Rewriting Ripley article come out, and it doesn't take very long for some internet sleuths to figure out what's going on. And there's been some folks on YouTube that have talked about this, quite a few. Ethan Van Sciver, I think, was certainly one of them. Great channel. There was another piece that was sent to me, and I don't want to put it on the screen. That's why it's not here. It's why it's just me right now. I don't want to put it on the screen. It had some interesting information. The problem is that in the course of their investigation and tying the two authors of the Rewriting Ripley article to Lucasfilm, which they did a pretty good job of, and it seems reasonably plausible to me, and with everything else we know about KK and Lucasfilm and how they operate and how they treat fans, I think it's more likely than not. The problem is with the piece, and I don't even want to share a link to it in the video, I'm not going to do that, is because, frankly, they dox these two people at Rewriting Ripley. And it's just not something we're going to be doing here on this show ever, if at least not intentionally. If it ever happens by accident, it would be by accident, but I do my best. I don't like that kind of stuff. I put it this way. I would not want somebody to do that to me. So I'm going to have enough respect for other people, even though I don't agree with them. I'm not going to dox other people. That's just not ever going to happen here. So that is why I'm not sharing or showing the thing on the screen. I'm not going to share the link to the article, although it is a good piece, and I appreciate the person who sent it to me. They know who they are. So that being said, it basically goes through a long list, who they are, their emails, their phone numbers, their addresses, and holy Lord, previous employers, all kind of stuff. And basically it suggests that these two folks, based on anything that they've done in the past, there's no way that they suddenly would have come up with Rewriting Ripley on their own and then produce this massive, I think as I called in the previous video, this massively long doctoral college thesis length thing. It takes you an hour and a half to go through it with massive amounts of data. I mean, my hat's off to the research on it. The problem is, of course, they did all the research and then came to the exact wrong conclusion. Amazing. But that is the laziness of quote-unquote journalism in the modern world. It's a shame, but that is quite often the Hollywood entertainment media is like that, and they love to bash fans. And now it's happening at Warner Brothers too. We'll get to that in a minute. But needless to say that at this point for Disney, to circle back on this, it's going to be a rough haul these next few months if they cannot figure out how to put a muzzle on Kathy. And I don't mean that literally, obviously. I don't want to hear this in the comments. But I mean, they're going to have to go in there and stop her from using social media platforms to do piss takes on fans. And it's got to end sooner than later, because even if they get rid of Kathy in the end of October, there may not be any fans left to come back to, is my fear, especially when stuff like this continues to happen. When you continue to call your fan base stupid and toxic and racist and sexist and white, cis, whatever the frickin' stupid words are these days just to describe people, this is not going to play well. And Disney itself, as Lucasfilm's parent, is also an entertainment company, and that's part of the problem, with the difference being over on the Warner Brothers side, which you have people at Warner Brothers Studios, the executives there, kind of dumping on fans for the Snyder Cut and wanting the Snyder Cut and now wanting the Snyderverse and telling them, no, you're not getting this, you're not getting that. See, the difference is Warner Brothers is a subsidiary not of another entertainment company, but of a big, giant telephone company that has nothing to do with Hollywood. AT&T does not live and breathe in Hollywood like Disney does, or Lucasfilm does, or Warner Brothers does. AT&T is still a we want to make money business. And a lot of companies these days just don't seem to want to be in the money-making business anymore. I don't understand it. You can put hashtags on Twitter all you want about alt-right and trolls and, whatever, and act like, well, this represents the majority of the folks out there. The problem is that never seems to ever materialize in actual sales. The Last Jedi had about 40% less haul than did The Force Awakens, and then, of course, Solo came out and was a complete flop. And then you had The Rise of Skywalker, which was half of The Force Awakens, and it limped over the $1 billion mark, which is kind of strange to say that a $1 billion movie was a fail, but it was a fail. When you consider what Disney reportedly spent all in on that movie, somewhere around $500 million after all the reshooting and the recutting and the re-editing and this and that and everything. They had a lot of money in the ground on that one. So again, if that type of culture, if injecting politics into entertainment was working, then why wouldn't these movies be making much more than they were? Why would The High Republic not be the most popular book on Amazon right now? Or at least would have been in the days that it came out a couple of months ago. It never got there. It never got it even close. See, Hollywood doesn't understand yet that people don't want this. They don't want politics in their sports. They don't want politics, modern politics, in their movies. George Lucas didn't want that in Star Wars. There was a picture of him wearing a shirt from a 1990-something New York Times or New Yorker article I saw recently somewhere. And it was a quote from the New Yorker basically, ripping on Lucas for not having enough social messaging or all kind of stuff in his Star Wars movies. And which was a silly joke, because that's what makes the movies timeless, is not having that crap in it. That's why it's not there. That's why Star Wars is so universally loved. The only politics in Star Wars is the Republic versus the Empire. That's it. It's Star Wars politics. That's the only room for what you can have in Star Wars. So needless to say that people like Disney is going to have to figure this out. People like AT&T is going to have to figure out Warner Brothers. So I'm going to have a video coming out on on my thoughts on the Snyder Cut of the Justice League. I did finally get to finish watching it the other day. I will say briefly that I was much more impressed with that film, apart from a couple of things, than I was the original back in 2017, which I saw in the theater and wish I could get that 2 hours and $50 of my money back, because I took all the kids with me. And none of the kids really liked it either. So we'll get to that in the next video. But needless to say, this is where we are now. So Disney has a choice, okay? And Disney really has a choice in this one. They can either let this continue or they can fix it. One of the two. So Disney's got to make the choice whether or not they want to keep killing the magic, because that's what Disney is doing. Disney is killing the magic. That was always their thing for decades. The magic of Disney. Where is it now? Where is it? If the magic to you now, Disney, is that you allow your subsidiaries and your subordinates to go around pissing on fans constantly, good luck. I don't think that's going to work out for you in the long run. But hey, that's just me. One toxic male fan, right? Until next time, take care.